Vice President Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have agreed to a September 10 debate on America's ABC. Joining me live is Peter Matthews, Professor of Political Science at Cyprus College. Professor, thank you very much for joining us. So what do you
You're
expect
welcome.
to see in this debate between the two?
It's going to be quite a debate because it's the first time they're meeting against each other, and they have very different visions of the country. And there's a lot of acrimony on the part of especially Donald Trump's side against Kamala Harris because he feels that Vice President Harris has come into the picture after President Biden turned it over, basically, when he resigned, and then she was nominated legally. But Trump is trying to quell the question whether she's a legitimate candidate or not. And that's going to come up at the debate. Project 2025 is going to come up at the debate, which is something that's associated with the Trump campaign because many of his former staff members, like Ben Carson, helped to write the Project 2025, which is a very serious document that's quite right-wing, and it's scary for a lot of people, including the mainstream Americans. That's going to come up in the debate. Healthcare, jobs, the economy, those issues will be debated quite a bit. There'll also be personal kinds of invective against each other, and we'll see how they handle it. It'll be quite interesting to see.
And Donald Trump is saying that he wants 2 more debates after this one. What do you think will happen there?
Well, it remains on how this one goes. I think if it goes well for Vice President Harris, she'll certainly take him up on further debates as well. And if she does well enough to feel she's way ahead, right now she's 4 points ahead of him in the key swing states, the blue wall states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. She's 4 points ahead of him right now. It's very remarkable. Those are the battleground states that are key to winning. And she's also on a nationwide basis, several points ahead of him in the polls. So if she continues to do that, she may not want to debate anymore. But I think she probably will because she has good points. She's a good debater. I think President Trump would love to debate her as well. He's a good debater as well in his own way. So we'll see what happens if she continues with the challenge or not.
Yeah, September 10. I'll be looking forward to that one. What is your assessment, Professor, on the language from both sides? We're hearing the Democrats calling the Trump and Vance team weird, Republicans calling Kamala Harris incompetent. Do you see this language amplifying? What do you make of it?
Of course, it's going to amplify the competition and the acrimony. But here's the thing. I mean, President Trump was a master at this kind of language from the beginning. From 2016 on, he kept giving negative nicknames to his opponents. And he continued that with Vice President Harris, calling her laughing Kamala or what have you. And see, those nicknames are derogatory. And so she came right back, especially with Mr. Walz, the vice presidential candidate, coming up with that term weird. It was very effective to show that the Trump and Vance ticket are out of the ordinary. They're kind of strange for Americans, the positions they're taking on issues. And the issues that Harris and Walz are taking are pretty much mainstream issues like healthcare for all and student debt cancellation, those things most Americans want. They're trying to say that the other side is outside the mainstream. That's what weird means, not normal. So it's being very effective. I'm sure it's frustrating the Vance and Trump side because they haven't really come back with a good response yet.
And we're certainly seeing escalating tensions, a lot of divide in America, across the world, in fact. But how do you see this? We've only got about 3 months to go until, we see the results of this election. But in your opinion, how could we see this if perhaps one side wins? How are we going to see tensions potentially escalate even further?
We can only hope for the best, but we have to prepare for the worst, unfortunately. And already President Trump has raised an issue of the legitimacy of Vice President Harris's nomination. He says, well, it's not legitimate because he raised that issue by saying that President Biden just handed the power over to her without her standing for election in primaries. But that's not how it works. If a candidate who's elected in the primaries, as Biden was, decides that he cannot continue because of whatever reasons, health or physical or mental reasons, he's allowed to say, I'm going to resign from this in the middle of the campaign. And then the Democratic Party, as a private entity, as the courts have decided, has its own rules about how to nominate a replacement candidate. And they followed all the rules. And in fact, Vice President Harris was nominated and then voted upon by the delegates. 99% of the delegates voted for her. So she won the nomination legitimately. But President Trump is trying to instigate by bringing in some kind of possible question over its legitimate nomination. Therefore, will the results will be legitimate in November? He's preparing to lose, actually, but then to claim that it's not legitimate. This is a very dangerous situation, Janie, because democracy rests on the peaceful transfer of power. And the United States gave that to the world in a sense, and yet we are being challenged once again, like back on January 6, 2020. And that's a very big danger right now.
Professor Peter Matthews, always appreciate your time and expertise. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Same to you.